Okay, beautiful, Madison. If you could take 2 deep breaths for me. Beautiful. And then when we're starting our first cleanse, we're going to start with a little grounding meditation. So we're just going to start by sending our attention and our awareness to different areas of the body. We're not looking to change anything, we're just looking to find a little bit of space. So the first area we're going to send our attention to is our sternum, so in the center of our chest. And then we're going to send our attention to our armpits. And then to the backs of our knees. And our ankles. The space in between our toes. And the inside of our elbows. And send our attention to our kidneys, sitting at the back of our body. And our heart space. And then lastly, we're going to think about where our tongue is sitting in our mouth. And we might want to rest that on the top of our palate. And that should help our jaw go into a nice relaxed position. And we can imagine that our jaw is floating in water. Perfect. For our first cleanse, I'm going to use the Nini Organics Halo Oil Cleanser. This has such a beautiful smell, so it's passion fruit and blue tansy. And I'll hover that over your face. And then apply, making sure I lift up from the neck. And big circular motions. Really important just to introduce my touch and see what I can feel. Beautiful. And take our first set of mitts to remove. I'm going to hover them over and then lifting upwards. Perfect. And then for our second cleanse, we're going to use the Nini Organics Otopia Cream Cleanser. And this is really lovely for barrier support. And has a beautiful vanilla scent. And again, just making sure I don't miss any areas, so we're really working into all the nooks and crannies around the jaw and lifting up. circling around the nose and across the forehead. My little circles, really working the product into the skin. And then again, we're going to remove that with our next set of mitts. And gently lifting nice light upward strokes. Making sure I haven't missed any areas as I work back down. Perfect. So for today's facial, we're really going to focus on the massage elements, and then we're going to pop gloves on and work inside the mouth to release the jaw. Really important that we warm up all areas before we do that. I'm going to start first by working up into the scalp. And just starting from behind the ears on both sides, circling up to the top of the ear. And then forming peace fingers either side and applying that downward pressure. And we're just activating and waking up all the lymph nodes that sit behind our ears. And this gentle pulsing motion can really help to do that. And then we're going to start slowly working further back into the hair. And the shampooing motion. And then really trying to move the scalp rather than just move the hair around. I'm going to do this by applying a deeper pressure. And I can turn my hands so my thumbs are at the hairline and I can work into the base of the scalp. Nice circular motions. And keeping that pressure really nice and consistent. And do pressure points down the hairline. And so as I rock my body weight in, the pressure increases. As I rock out, I release. And I like to take that same movement and just slowly work out across the scalp. So each time I return into center, I'm placing my hands just slightly further out. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to take both hands and place them on top of each other, and again just that gentle pulsing in and out. And then we can do that same shampooing motion along the hairline. And just helping everything to release. You can do nice combing through the hair. And again, that gentle pressure. back to my circles around the ear. And my peace fingers. And then going to land in the center of the chest with both hands. I'm going to do a gentle wave over the sternum. And take that wave and go down towards the armpits. Again, this is all about waking up the lymphatic system. Coming to behind the ears. Gentle circular pulsing. And then along the jawline. And under the chin. And then reversing, so going back under the jaw. Behind the ears. Over the armpits. And back into the center of the chest. I'm just going to take both thumbs and gently brush out and down towards the terminus. And then reverse. Sweeping from the center of the chest out. And then gentle pressure on each shoulder in turn. Trying to create some space between the shoulders and the ears and extend that neck. Nice big stretch. Hooking up into the occipital. Where I'm lifting my fingers up towards myself. And again, just gently pulsing. It can feel really nice to have the weight of your head held. It can feel really nurturing. And I'm just going to gently release and lower. Again, gently placing both hands on the scalp and applying that downward pressure. Beautiful. Next I'm going to take some grapeseed oil and apply this over the chest. I'll start with just 2 or 3 pumps, starting from the center and working out. And going down the arms and scooping around the shoulders, finishing behind the ears. And the whole idea here is to create space, warming up the muscle groups and releasing any built up tension. The pectorals that I'm working on now can become especially tight if we work at a desk or hunched inwards. So opening out this area can be really lovely. Can feel like a really nice release. Starting really gentle pressure Working from one side to the other. And then big circles with the whole surface area of my hands. Bringing in knuckles, so increasing that pressure, but still keeping everything nice and gentle. And working from one side to the other. Peace fingers either side of the collarbone, gently pumping out towards the shoulders. And then bringing that same knuckling technique, we're working down the deltoids. Alternating from one side to the other, and then coming together again to work behind the neck, stretching all the way up towards myself, and bringing both hands, picking up a circling motion, and keeping those circles going all the way to the ears. And then doing one final grounding move as I lift and lower, creating more space to work. Creating gentle stretches and keeping movement so it feels continuous. As soon as one hand finishes, the next starts. Stretching up and then working behind the ear again. Raining down with a flat hand, travelling round the back of the neck. Again, bringing my knuckling to work deeper into this area. Using my thumb to ground me. Gently increasing my pressure into any areas of tension. Transitioning back into that pull motion up towards the scalp. Working back through center. And repeating on the other side. Making sure everything feels continuous and like one move can flow into the other without much thought. Finding space. Relieving any built up patterns of tension. Again, working behind the ear, those same circular motions up to the top, and then draining down the front, and travelling round. And working deeper in with that same knuckling technique. Using my thumb to keep me in place. Nice drains down. And back to our push and pull. And back onto the centre of the chest. And lifting back into centre. And again, holding the head here. And just pausing for a breath. And before releasing. And working down through the scalp. And final dry brushes. And again, landing on the shoulders. Now starting to work up onto the face. So first spreading my oil, lifting up the neck, over the jaw, in between the top lip and the nose, up to the forehead and then over the cheeks. Making sure the nose is covered. And then taking any excess oil across the chest and back up the neck. To start, I'm going to stretch the sternocleidomastoid, so working from the collarbone to behind the ears. Just lifting. A nice opening. This is often a muscle that becomes very tight and restricted. So nice to create this release. Using my body weight here, rocking backwards. strength, for that stretch. Bring that same move up onto the face, following from the collarbone up the platysma. Really taking my time with each movement to ensure that each muscle is really worked through. We use all of our facial muscles all of the time, and they very often get neglected. Spending a good amount of time on each section really allows me to create that tension release, working out along the jaw. Using as much surface area as I can, and then tilting my hands, so again I'm lifting up towards myself. I always think of this as like my piano scales, where I move in and out. And I'm looking for that lift in the cheeks. Applying this lovely upward pressure. And then some gentle effleurage, some big sweeping motions. Working out along the jawline. And bringing my hands into a prayer position on the chin. And then lifting all the way up. One returns and then the other. And lifting all the way to the hairline. And coming to rest on the forehead and then opening out and draining down. And again, resting on the forehead and opening out. And pulling all the way back to behind the ears. And coming to work along Risorius, which sits corner of the lips and stretches out towards the ears. And taking that same movement but moving into a diagonal stretch. So now we're stretching along the zygomatic arch from corner of the lips up to temples. This is where zygomatic major and minor sit. Beautiful. We're going to travel down the bridge of the nose and open the face. Working in lovely big circles here. Coming to circle around the eye, following auricularis oculi, which is a circular muscle. So we want to stretch it in the way that it sits on the face. And reversing, so now we're stretching the other direction and lifting up. Holding this point on the bridge of the nose. And then releasing as we stretch up over frontalis into the hairline. And using that same effleurage to give us a break in between more detailed work and stretching over the corrugators. Coming to lift off the brow bone and create a gentle pinch. And just stretch those corrugators. And often an area that holds a lot of tension. And then doing the same on the other side. So first rolling off the brow bone and then a gentle pinch and stretch. And using the pressure of my thumb, anchoring myself in the center and stretching outwards. I'm going to apply a little bit more oil before starting to work from the side of the bed. And then gently turning to the side and coming to work on a diagonal. Looking out along the jawline, lifting up towards myself. Incorporating a fanning motion, which will help stimulate blood circulation to the area. And then following that with a firm, flat hand. Working out either side of the lips. And then rolling the skin down. And it's going to be really nice for releasing any deeply held tension. Especially over the masseter that we're going to be working later with our intraoral. I'm working with both hands now and lifting up towards myself and gently changing direction as I work. Creating a circular motion. And stretching away from each other. Almost picture like a yin and yang melding together. And again, using the flat of my hand to lift. Scooping underneath the cheekbone. And circling around the eye. I'm going to come to the other side of the bed and use both my hands to stretch. Placing one thumb on the brow and one under the eye, stretching all the way to the hairline. I'm going to take the same move but work underneath the cheekbone and take my thumbs into a paddling and release. I'm working from the corner of the lip up towards the ear. And then again along the jawline. Paddling out any tension. And then following with one smooth stretch. Slowly working back up the face. And back to either side of the eye. And then up to the forehead. And using the flats of my hands to really increase that surface area and complete that stretch fully. And lifting up. And then finishing with a nice big drain down the neck. And coming back through center. And just landing there for a moment before we turn to the other side. We might need a tiny bit more oil. And taking that from the shoulder all the way up onto the face. Again, working out along the jawline. And draining down the neck. Using 2 fingers. And then gently going into a fanning motion. And looking for that vibration and any erythema where the blood travels to the surface and gives us that rosy flush. And going straight into my rolling. And we lift and pick up and then roll down. And then bring the focus to the masseter. And again with our circling, working deeper into the muscle. And then releasing and following with that flat hand. And working either side of the lips, stretching out. And then scooping underneath the cheekbone and circling around the eye. And create a nice big hair florage, stretching this whole surface area before I come to work either side of the eye. Stretching with both my thumbs and just making sure that my hands rest and keep me nice and secure. And taking the same movement underneath the cheekbone. And then along the jaw. Working my way back up. Making sure the pace stays really nice and steady. Working over the forehead and into the hair. Almost feels like a conveyor belt. As soon as one finishes, the next one starts. Keeping contact as I come back to the top of the bed. And bringing us back into center very gently. Supporting the head and using those pressure points down the scalp. Again with that shampooing motion. And then that gentle pressure. Lightly this way, my love. And then if you could open your mouth for me. Beautiful. And then close. I'm just going to keep your jaw nice and relaxed for me. And we're just going to circle up towards your ears. And just gently increasing that pressure. Gentle pull. And then we're coming down off the top of the cheekbone. And creating nice big circles over the masseter. And stretching out towards the lip. And we're just gently lifting. And then pulling. And I'll work with my supporting hand just to increase that stretch. And pulling out. And then back to our circles. Lifting up towards me and then pushing down towards your toes. And sometimes releasing built up tension in the jaw can have an effect on emotions as well, which is really interesting. And there's research about the jaw and the pelvis being linked. And they are both areas that we can store emotional trauma. It can be really interesting work. It's also an area most people hold tension, and sometimes completely subconsciously clenching, especially in sleep. And then finishing with some big circles. Nice long stretch. And then coming out. Beautiful. And then we're going to turn back up to center. And then over to the other side. If you could open your mouth for me, please, my love, and then close. Lovely. And I'm going to start by circling up. And a gentle pull out towards the lips. And then working down towards your toes. And back stretching to the corner of the lip. And following with my passive hand. Increasing that stretch gently. And pulling out towards the lip. And again, lifting up towards myself. And bringing my thumbs inside the mouth. Pulling out to meet my fingers. Creating a really gentle pinch. And coming to work down off the cheekbone. Increasing the size of my circles. And then lifting back up. Nice big circles over the master. Gentle pull. Again, stretching two different directions. And out along the buccal muscles. Down off the cheekbone. And circling around the ear. final stretch to finish. And then gently coming out of the mouth. Coming back from center, working down the arms and lifting. Nice big scoop, holding the head and gently lowering. And coming in with our grounding moves just to finish this section. Trying to create really nice elongated strokes. Using my forearms as we lift up. And going from the jaw all the way up into the hair. And come with both hands on the forehead and opening outwards and draining down to the chest. And again, from the forehead down, opening out, gently holding on the jawline and then pushing down across the chest. Same gentle pull back up and then combing through the hair. I'm going to remove our oil with our last set of mitts. And landing on the chest. And coming up the neck. Working either side of the nose, up the bridge of the nose and over the forehead. Working around each eye. And holding on the temples. I'm going to use our rose mist. And gently patting that in to aid absorption. I'm going to finish with a vitamin C serum and then SPF. This is called Juicy and it's by Nini Organics. There's 3 types of vitamin C. Really beautiful for brightening any pigmentation and fighting free radicals in the daytime. And let that sit on the skin while I prep my SPF. This is a really lovely formula. And it kind of goes on more like a serum and doesn't leave a white cast. It's also factor 50. And that's by Everyday Humans. And just taking my time to massage that into the skin. Nice long strokes. And then to finish, Maxine, if you could take 2 deep breaths for me. Beautiful, thank you.